Hi guys, this is Bissong, and this is a Monday morning. This is the 24th of June. Yes, today I want to discuss something. I've tweeted about this before, but I want to really go deep, into the topic: how to be ethereal as a man, how to become ethereal. Now, being ethereal means being heavenly, being immortal, oozing a kind of spiritual essence, aura, and presence. You see, there's some men that will walk into a room and everybody just knows this is a great man that has walked in. They don't need to say any word. You know, just the very fact that they have walked in sends an idea of who they are. Presence is a thing that is lacking in many men. Presence, the ability to know and understand presence, courage, and all of that. These things are not things to just, joke about. These things are very important. There's a reason why two people will come and give a speech and they might even speak on the same thing, but one person just does it better. You might think it is because the other person is skilled at maybe putting words together. Yes, that might be a thing, but more so is the charisma that the person oozes with their presence. There is a power in having a very, heavenly presence, something that people are looking at you and they can just see a larger than life image around you. So I've tried to cultivate that, and I've been to places whereby people just tell me that the moment you walked in and I saw you, you just gave this vibe of, a proper, well-placed man. The first time I saw you, the way you carried yourself, I just formed an opinion about you that, you are this properly placed man. So let us go deeply into it. How to become or how to be ethereal as a man. Now, I'm going to read out a few the points to you, then I would espouse on them. The first one is have purpose for life. The second one is have a spiritual essence and backing. The third one is guard your sexual energy. The fourth one is dress like a king. The fifth one, carry yourself like a king. The sixth one, seek wisdom. The seventh one, speak purposefully. And then the eighth one, mix with people who do the above. So now let's start with the first one. Have purpose for life. For those of you who joined me at the beginning of this year when I started putting out content and, on my podcast and generally, I was speaking very heavily on knowing your strengths. The importance of understanding purpose cannot be underemphasized. You have to know what you are called to this world to do and whom you are called to serve. It is very easy for a lot of us to, just talk about what it is that we want to do. But do you really ask yourself, what is it that I am actually called to do? Who are the people I am called to serve? Who are the people I am called to help? There are people that, if you do not align with your purpose, they will not be helped. I've always made this, let's say, example of myself, and I've said, because I do these things, the content I put out, sometimes I put out a content or I put out a message, because I'm not a content creator, basically. I'm a teacher, I'm a preacher, I'm a messenger. And when I put out this message, when people receive this message, I get sometimes some people come and say, man, this thing you said, man, it really touched me. Thank you for putting out this message. Thank you for putting this out. It really touched me. It answered the question I was asking myself. And what this tells me, is the very fact that I was sent to that person by God at that moment. And me might just feel like I'm speaking, but I have long come to understand that it is beyond me just speaking. It is me fulfilling purpose. It is me helping the people that God has sent me to help. So there's something that God has put in you that He has not put in other people, that you are meant to be the source of that light to the world. So I gave different, maybe you should listen to one of my episodes earlier this year, I think in January, where I spoke about how to build a formidable image. I think I also chipped in shortly. I mean, one of the places where I spoke about how to find your strengths. You have to focus on your strengths. You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and you have to work on your strengths so much that your weaknesses seem so insignificant. Of course, there are weaknesses that you need to work on, and there are weaknesses that you don't need to even think about. So I think I have some content on that already. I think I have shared that a number of times, how to find your strength, or your purpose. Now, I've also said that purpose is not what you feel like doing or what you are passionate about, because you might be passionate about something and not be good at it. Purpose is that thing that comes so easily to you that comes more difficult to others. What are those things that people usually call you for? What is that thing that people usually come to meet you to do? In my family, I've always been the speaker. People always call me to come and speak. They'll call me to come and speak on behalf of the family. They'll call me to come and give speeches, to write speeches. It's a thing I've grown up to do. I've always been a teacher right from time. My mother is a teacher. I would follow her to her school, where she's teaching, and try to start teaching the students. So I've always had that side, that side to me that wants to explain things, that wants to speak about things. And I've also had that eloquence. I've also had the power of debating. I always like to argue. I like to push out my points and my ideas. So I know that pushing out ideas in the manner that I do them, or that I do it, is 100% important, It's 100% important to push out these ideas. And I get a lot of people that are touched by these ideas, and it is like this is what they were needing to complete their puzzle. That is what purpose is. And I always say something. I do not believe that purpose can just exist outside understanding a spiritual essence. Because at the end of the day, when you are trying to align yourself, because one of the reasons why you might wake up so much in the morning and feel so bad, feel so empty, is because you have no purpose to align yourself to. There is nothing you are used for. You find yourself doing things that is like they do not align with who you are. It's like they are different from your person. So there's this fight between who you are and that thing you are expressing, and they do not marry properly. So being that they do not marry properly, it is expected, and largely so, it is expected that you feel bad, you feel depressed, you just feel like your life is foggy. So purpose is very important. But one of the best ways to understand purpose is aligning with the person from whom you were created. So me, I always believe that. And that is, so on that basis, I believe in God. Because I believe that there has to be a person that sent me that said, this is the thing I'll be good at. There's something called the a priori or a priori, depending on what you are speaking it as a Latin word or as or as an English word. What that means is knowledge that we say to be innate knowledge. The rationalist philosophers always believed in, reason being a source of knowledge. And we also agree that there are some sources of knowledge which were not empirically, gotten. We didn't experience them to know them. We just knew them. So there's some things that are very common to you, though you can learn them, but you are learning them more to develop yourself on those things. If you're a natural born speaker, you are born with this gift of convincing people naturally, and you now go on to learn sales, or you now go on to learn public speaking, you go on to learn counseling, you'll find out that you are usually one of the best amongst the people that you are in your field. You are in a field where you are more likely to be the best. So when you see a man with purpose, he feels like a warrior, in the garden. It feels like, man, everything is so easy for me because this is where I'm born to shine. So naturally, when you see a person that is doing the things that is born to do, you see a person that is pulling his weight, in the right place. Because I always say something, I say, do not go and be the monkey that is competing with a fish at swimming. You already know that competition is lost even before it gets started. And of course, you cannot be the fish that competes with a monkey at climbing a tree because you will run out of breath and you will die. So that's with that knowledge, armed with this heavy knowledge, the first thing you should be thinking about is, where is it that I am more likely to be one of the best in the world at? What is it that I can do that the results at the end of the day, if I put in 5 to 10 years in this thing, because whether I like it or not, 5 to 10 years is going to come, and you either become what you want to become, or you are stuck at something that you don't want. You are going to become something. You are going to become something. So what is it that in the next 5 to 10 years, if I kept on doing, I am more likely to be one of the best in the world at? Or even if not one of the best in the world, one of the best in my category, in my country at? Nobody can become the best in the world at something if they were not naturally suited for that thing. You have to be naturally suited for something, because everybody's competing against you. How do you crush the competition and come out on top? So let's go on. So that's the reason why the second level, I call it, have a spiritual essence and backing. They say, this man, Dr. Olumide, I've forgotten, Olumide Emmanuel, he always says something. Say everybody's using something. You just need to find the one that works the best for you. So everybody uses something. Everybody has a backing. Everybody has a spiritual backing. And everybody should. If you don't have, you're just... Because I believe that we create things from our mind. What is in our mind is what we use to create things. But what is the purest form of the existence of that thing, even before it's bedded into the brain, which is the mental, that's the mind, is the brain. That's where the mental bed is. Before it is bedded, it has to come from somewhere. The major source is spiritual. Just like when you want to put light in your house, right? And you want to use a generator to push the light. Okay, yes, you have the wires and everything, you have made all the connection. So you put on the generator, it sends light, right? The generator is the mind. It sends light into the house, and then now there's electricity in the house. But there is something that makes the generator work. That is the spirit, the petrol you put in the generator. That is what, makes it work. So this might not be a perfect analogy, of course, but we have a lot of analogy understanding the spiritual essence of things. We know about Plato's world of forms, and world of particulars. It talks about how anything that exists in the world of particulars or in the real world has existed first in the world of forms. Has existed first in the world of forms. But then it goes further to point out the very fact that there is a source of everything. There is a more pure source of everything that exists. There's a more pure source of everything that exists. All philosophers always go back pointing to something that is the primary source of everything. There's always a drawback to. Why is there always this innate search for meaning in this regard? It means that man cannot wander too far from God, no matter how much man tries. No matter how much you try, you have to, see, wander back to your source. Like, some things will be incomplete and unanswered in your life until you connect to your source. There are some things you can never explain in life, And rightly, you should not explain them. Why? Because these are the things that have been taken care of by the one who brought you to the world. You didn't bring yourself to the world, by the one who actually gave you that life and has set you, on this path. Many things are not figure outable by you. And you should not even bother to do so when there is somebody in charge of that job. Everybody needs a spiritual essence and backing, because it makes you bold enough to make some moves. Because you know that no matter what, I am good. No matter what, I am protected. No matter what, I have everything good. And no matter what, I have somebody behind me. I have God at my back. Spiritual essence and backing. You just know that you have somebody behind you. And that's why when you see a man who is ethereal, say, there is something connecting this man with the spiritual. There's something connecting this man with the spiritual. Let's move further. So the third one, guard your sexual energy. Guard your sexual energy. I've been talking about sexual energy a lot. And even this man, I know Napoleon Hill spoke about sexual transmutation, and the Chinese people have spoken about tantric sex. A lot of people have spoken about semen retention and its benefits. Now, I'm not really going to go deep into all of those things, but let us even look at what sexual energy is, first of all. When you have sex and when you ejaculate, you usually get tired, or you at least feel to some level spent. You feel sleepy. You feel like you need to recuperate your energy. And what that means is just the fact that this energy is expendable. Though yes, you can recuperate it, but it's expendable. It can go, it can finish, and you have to bring it back and work it up, to power. So when your energy is depleted in every angle, there's a strong, likelihood that you are weaker than you should be. And it's even worse when this energy is being depleted by many people or by many interactions. We are fucking this guy, fucking that guy. First of all, there is an interaction, a DNA interaction. There is a spiritual interaction, because sex is the source of creating life. How can you believe, except of course you don't believe, in God, you don't believe there's anything spiritual, but you cannot believe that there is God, is the creator of life, and the sex which he has created to create life will not have a spiritual essence. It doesn't make any sense. There's a dissonance in your line of thinking. The dissonance comes when it comes to sex. So if you agree that there is, a universe, and there is powers that control this universe or that control this world, no matter what you call it, or no matter what your religion is or your spiritual inclination, I'm not even trying to be very particular right now. You believe that there is this spiritual essence, and you also believe that there's a spiritual addition to life. How then can't you believe that sex, which is the source of this life creation in the first place, is not spiritual, when everything that gives you life is spiritual? So how can sex, which is created particularly for the purpose of life-giving, not be spiritual? It is definitely spiritual. And if you want to have a connection with a person, it has to be deeper than just she's beautiful. Your spirit has to align with hers. You have to have some level of balance, interacting with this person, enough for you to say you want to share this deep level of intimacy with them. And that's why most people, we push for marriage. I said, you have to get married first. The most important thing there is because in marriage, certain things are satisfied, which is Security is satisfied. Specialness is satisfied. So if you're having sex with a woman, maybe for example, for the first time, security has to be there. For example, this is not a case of we have sex and then the other person runs off and leaves me alone, even if I'm emotionally involved in what we have had. Because marriage makes it more difficult for anybody to just up and leave, even if people do it. But it's at least a better guarantee, right? That one is on one side. Then second one is the specialness of the action. If it's an action that is meant to create life, then it has to be special to some level. The moment it becomes less special, and the moment you try to force what is sacred to be unsacred, that's the more we offend the gods. And that's why we have a lot of issues in our world today. There's so much proliferation of sex. And this is not me judging anyone. This is not me. I have learned not to judge people, really, because there are a lot of things. You are not in a person's shoe. You cannot understand why they did certain things until you are there. So my main point, however, in this whole thing is that you have to understand that no matter the sexual decision you're trying to make, know that spiritual energy is part of sexual energy. That sexual energy has a spiritual essence to it. Just know that one. So in marriage, specialness is, you have to treat it as special, and security is also there. So through the commitment of marriage and all of that, that's why people advise for marriage. I mean, there may not be any serious need for marriage, because what is marriage basically? Marriage is the government sanctioning your union. Say, okay, these two people are now one family. Okay, we'll recognize them as one family. But it's easy for us to govern them. If we get through to this man, it means we have reached about 5 other children. Now, so we get through to one citizen, we have reached other 5 or 10 citizens. It's easy for governance. If I was in government, I would prefer most people to be married than to be single, and it gives me more work to manage them, because if I can get through to a father, it means I've gotten through to the family. Any indoctrination I give to parents, it goes to their children. So the best way to indoctrinate a country is to have them in families, in family form. That's why family is the smallest unit of socialization. So you have to infiltrate the people that create the families. And once we have fed them with certain ideas, they will create families that also uphold such ideas. So my view on the whole marriage thing, like before Christianity, for example, before Jesus came, marriage was already in existence. Marriage has been in existence for a long time. And people have always gotten married to secure dynasties, to do different things. So, on marriage, I just believe the reason why sex is said to be in marriage, or is preferred, or usually thought that people should put it, in marriage, is actually a good thought. We know where they are going to with that idea. So now that you have understood purpose, you've understood spiritual essence and backing, and you have got your sexual energy, these are the deeper parts of you. They are not tangible. You cannot see them in the fore. Of course, they have a tangible relationship. There's a physical expression of these things, but they are most of the work here is done deep, in the spiritual side, in the knowledge side, in the mental side. I know my purpose. I have spiritual essence. I know God. I know who, has my back. And I also know my sexual energy. I know how much I keep my sexual space properly guarded. Now, after that, you have to now move to the 4th point. Dress like a king. Because the truth is that you are dressed how you dress. And profiling is a very important tool for human survival. Do not expect to not be profiled. So that's why I always laugh at people that will come up and say, I need to be judged by the content of my character and not by how I look. I say, okay, that's very fine. I would like to judge you by the current content of your character, as long as I am willing to come close enough after I have seen your outer apparel. Maybe by the time I've seen your outer apparel and it's inviting to me enough, then I can now come and start judging the content of your character. I will tell you for free that most cases of profiling are accurate. So if we're saying that profiling is 90% accurate, Why do you think humans over time would discard a thing that has provided 90% result? So profiling is here to stay. Profiling is important. Profiling must happen. Now that you know that profiling is going to happen, what do you want them to profile you as? I always say something. You have the ability to control how people think about you. Not like you really need to care, but since you have that power, why don't you just use the power? The power is dress like a king. Because we believe that if you truly feel like a king and you feel, great as a person, it will be difficult for you to not dress like a king. It will be difficult for you not to clothe your body in proper, beautiful apparels. Why would you not want to do that? When you value yourself and your essence. The fact that you value yourself and your essence makes you want to. The fact that you value yourself and your essence makes you want to do that. So when you dress like a king, dressing like a king is one side of it. The next point I'm going to talk about now is carry yourself like a king. We have seen people that will dress a particular way, but you can always tell that they are not in on the behavior side. It's just the outer part. So I've seen two people, for example, I've made this analogy before. One person wears agbada, another person wears agbada. You see one person with agbada, you say, correct, steez overflow. You see another person with the same agbada, you're like, okay, agbada. One thing you should understand is that you have to dress like a king and carry yourself as such. You have to move and sway as such. And I always say something. I say, be proud. How to be an Ethereal Man. Embrace pride. Pride in the things you are coming to accomplish. Pride in the fact that you are changing and dropping some of the bad things that you used to, do, or the things you have come to be known by. If there are certain changes, you see, the change you need in life to really progress is 1% incremental change. 1% incremental change. And then you get, at some point, when it has compounded, you can get an exponential, multiplication. Your results can be 10x, 50x. But the very fact that you are making some struggles and you are winning every day, you know the struggles you are winning and the things you are battling with that you are conquering every day. Even the ones that maybe conquered you, but you still struggle to wake up every day and put a smile on your face, you have to carry yourself like a person who is proud of winning those struggles. I assure you, you walk into any room with this consciousnness in your mind and with this dressing, with this carriage, and anybody would not know that a man has come to the room. Your presence will be felt like the wind of, like when the Holy Spirit walks into a place. Sometimes you'll be talking and then everybody keeps quiet and then breeze blows. You say, wow, there's an angel in the house. That's exactly how it is when you walk into certain places. Dress like a king, carry yourself like a king. The last one, another one is, this is the sixth one, I guess. Yeah, this is the sixth one. Seek wisdom. That's why we use the word wisen. Wisen men. Wisen is a continuum because we do not believe that anybody can be completely wise. We believe that everybody has to seek knowledge and wisdom continuously. So seek wisdom. Listen to people who are older. Listen to people who have experienced this world and have gone before you. Listen to the things that they have done. Listen to the things that they have written and left for us as guidelines on this world that they have gone before us. It's like a person who has, it's like a cheat code. Listening to elders is like a cheat code. You simply know the things that they have, that the way the world works, the way they have experienced it. In fact, even the elders who have made mistakes with their lives are cheat codes for us, because now you are seeing the mistake this person has made. You know the things to avoid. You know the thinking to avoid. You look at the outcome of a person's life and you know that, this outcome of your life is an outcome of certain kinds of thinking. Now your job at that point in time is to avoid this kind of thinking. How can you avoid this kind of thinking? Seek wisdom. Always ask. Always ask. Always seek to know why. The most important question is why. Why? Why am I doing this? Why? Why do I live here? Why? Why do I? Everything has to be wide. Everything has to be wide. Everything has to be wide. The number 7 point, speak purposefully. Speak purposefully. You have to speak with purpose. You have to speak with purpose. You don't just open your mouth and talk every time. They say knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. But wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. Because the truth is that not every fruit can go into a fruit salad. Not every word needs to be said at a particular point in time or in a particular way. Tact is a source of wisdom. So you have to speak purposefully. You have to know when these words, what they are going to satisfy. If these words are leaving my mouth, what are the things that these words are going out there to do? What are these words I'm sending out? What do they want to go and fulfill? What do they want to go and fulfill? If these words go out, what is the target of these words that are leaving my mouth? You'll find out that you'll be more quiet. You would speak for purpose. If you see me in most gatherings, I'm more quiet. Except I have to speak and say, please, Imam Bissong, the wise man, please come and address. Then I will speak. Because then I'm speaking to enact a purpose. Even when I have friends around and we're having gists, we have gist, and then most times we get into conversations that are very meaningful and very purposeful. And even if I'm trying to have a leisure time and play, we always find ways to start talking meaningful things. So your speech has to be purposeful. Your speech must not be every time teaching or knowledge-based or intellectual. No. I could be talking to a person in a fun way because I want the person to feel better. Or I'm trying to create a friendship. Or I'm trying to, set the atmosphere to be conducive enough for this person to open up to me. These are ways or avenues for purposeful speaking. So make sure you only speak purposefully. When we're in the seminary, we have what they call silencia magna, which means the great silence. And that is after your night prayer, you say, the Lord grant us a quiet night and a perfect end. And that night, you're quiet. And this is also repeated in some other traditions in the church, where you are meant to be quiet for most of the day. And also in some monasteries, you're meant to be quiet for most of it, and you only speak purposefully. It makes you be more calculated about the kind of words you use or the kind of words you say, and you will naturally be a person that doesn't speak all the time. You see people that speak all the time, they say a lot of rubbish. You see a person that's always trying to be the court jester, or every time you just say something, you just do something. All of these things that you do, they are just signs of a mind that is not quiet, or a mind that cannot, sieve out things. So let's move on. Speak purposefully. Now, the last point, which is also a very, very important point, number 8, mix with people who do the above. So I have given you a list of things that I want you to do. Have a purpose in life. Have a spiritual essence and backing. Guard your sexual energy. Dress like a king. Carry yourself like a king. Seek wisdom. Speak purposefully. But then, all of these things that we say you should do, you have to look for people that are doing those things and mix with them. Because iron sharpeneth iron. For you to be the best at this thing, it means you have to also have quality people. For you to be a quality person, you have to have quality people in your circle. You cannot be found or caught dead chilling with just anybody that, you need to have quality people in your circle. It is as important as hell. You need to have quality people in your circle. So you have to mix with people that are doing, people that have a purpose in life, people that have a spiritual essence. You have to mix with these people. Carry yourself like a king and seek wisdom. People that are also looking for how to seek wisdom, those are the people that should be your friends. You should not be caught, in those situations where you are with the people that, are lacking in most of these things. Because they say the dog that follows the goat the goat that follows the dog will start eating shit. So your bad company will corrupt your good manners. And as much as you might feel like you are the person that is easy to influence other people and hard to influence, you can also not grow if you're always the smartest in the room. So you also need people that are equally or even better than you in your circle. So that's all for today about how to be ethereal as a man. At Rising Men, we are focusing heavily on how men can become immortal. So it's a Bissong, and I'm saying, stay wising.